You're with Morning Ireland at 15 minutes now past 8 o'clock. So a week till polling day in the general election that's been widely described as one of the most important ever. Now, over the past few days on Morning Ireland, we've been hearing from political party leaders. Yesterday, Anya spoke to Labour's Eamon Gilmore in Sligo. Well, this morning I'm joined here in Cork by the Fine Gael leader, Enda. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Rachel.
Now, can we start with those comments from David Begg of the Congress of Trade Unions? We heard from him earlier on the programme, very put out by the language used on your website, comparing trade unions to bankers and developers, and very put out that you haven't replied to his letter. What would you say to him?
I take responsibility for the letter not having gone. I actually cleared it, but didn't send it back. I take responsibility for that. In regard to the comments on the website, I'd be sorry if David Begg was offended. This is a political party, and obviously, in political material, you put out your view on various issues. Trade unions obviously have a job to do, and David Begg represents very well his members. From that perspective, they are a vested interest. Obviously, they've had an important part to play in social partnership over the years. I suppose it's fair to say that the elements of the Fine Gael party might not have had a great relationship with trades unions over the years, but for my part, in the last number of years, I've built, I think, what is a very good working relationship with David Begg. I'm in a position that he can take up the phone, or I can take up the phone, and talk to each other about
will the
matters.
Comments then, will they be staying on the website or will they be coming down?
Well, the point here is that this is not contained in our manifesto. As far as I'm concerned, the problems facing our country are way beyond just mere forms of words. We've got to work with trades unions in the interests of getting our country back on tracks.
And that's fair enough. So will they be staying on the website then, or will they be coming down?
Political websites are one thing. Our manifestos is our official programme, and obviously we want to get back to a point where we can have low taxes, high growth, and a strong economy. And that's
all right. So they're staying on the website then, are they? But you're saying they're not in the manifesto.
They're not in the manifesto.
All right, and that's where you're going to leave it by the sounds of things.
Yes, and David will get his letter back.
All right. Can we talk about the other issue that's in the papers today? I know you're keen to focus on job creation here in Cork, but there's still a lot of focus on this spat with the Labour Party. Can you go into government with a party who says that what you're planning would mean that the country would be, to use the words of Eamon Gilmore, screwed by austerity measures?
Well, we've been preparing for this election for quite a long time, and Fine Gael put together its 5-point plan to address the issues that need to be fixed and the structural deficiencies here. No incoming government has ever faced the scale of the economic challenge that the next government faces. And that's why we put out our plan in addressing what we consider are the fundamentals that need to be fixed.
And listeners will know that, but they'll be wondering about the spat that they've witnessed over the past few days. Can you really form a government, given the exchange of language that's going on? I mean, you have in the papers this morning Roisin Shortall comparing Leo Varadkar, saying that he's Ireland's Margaret Thatcher.
I listened to some Labour Party candidates yesterday saying that the one thing that people don't want to hear are these continuous spats of infighting and attempts at point scoring. Now, the Fine Gael party have not gone down that road, and you have to respond occasionally. What I'm interested in, as the leader of the Fine Gael party, is setting out our stall as to how we're going to rectify the problems of this country, take them by the scruff of the neck, and lead our people to a brighter future, where we keep taxes down, where we get back to a point where we rectify our public finances and get our country working.
All right, but back to the question, because I know you were asked that question several times yesterday on the campaign trail, and you seem to manage to avoid it. Is it going to make it more difficult to form a government with the Labour Party if that's what the numbers dictate after the election?
I'm going to answer you now, Rachel. I think this is my 11th or 12th election. The people are the masters here, and they're going to decide on the 25th of February what kind of government or what shape that is that they want to elect. That's why we set out our plan to get Ireland working. But within that, I have to say this, that everywhere I go around the country, the impact that ordinary people see in somebody having a clear plan with a clear strategy is quite astounding. And I have to say that in the last week, the numbers of people who have contacted me directly and said, look, I didn't vote for your party before, But I like this talk of the jobs. I like the way it's set
So the
out.
question then, if we could just go back to the question, if you could
Well,
just answer it, and
I'm
then
not
we could
going-
move on to
no,
other
I'm
matters.
I'm not going to answer a hypothetical question in this way. I am going to wait until the 25th of February, 10 o'clock that night, the people will have made their choice. What I think Ireland needs now, really and truly, given where we are, is a stable government with a strong and a clear mandate.
All right,
and
so
that's
just to
contained
be
in our
clear on that,
five-point
you're,
plan.
you're not going to say whether or not this makes it more difficult to form a government with the Labour Party?
I'm not actually, because I'm concentrating on the party that has the only clear plan here. You can challenge all of the others. The steps to recovery are set out in Fine Gael's five-point plan. That's what I'm selling, and I have my candidates and supporters all over the country saying to people, here is our way of setting out our view as to how we repair the damage of our country, restore our good finances and get our people working. That's what they want.
OK, can we talk then about your way? I know many people were struck by something you said on Monday night during the leaders' debate. You said everybody will suffer. Surely some people have already suffered enough.
Yes, I mean, when I say that everybody suffers, the impact of the decline in the state of our public finances and the impact on our country means that everybody, by implication, obviously suffers from that. Fine Gael in our budget before Christmas set out our stall that we would not and did not propose to have cutbacks in old age contributory pensions and non-contributory pensions, disabled, blind, carers, and we from the social conscience that we have.
OK, but you still say then that everybody will suffer over the next few years.
The entire country has got to suffer here, in the sense that the impact on Ireland as a consequence of where we've been led to means that, you know, the status of ourselves as a people suffers. So within that.
But financially, will everybody suffer?
Well, from our point of view, we've set out our stall where you're going to protect those who are most vulnerable and those who are on the lower end of that scale.
All right. Can we look then at some of the specifics? Will there be further social welfare cuts?
Well, all of these things are set out in our fiscal plan, and they're all costed. And as I said, in our pre-budget submission, we didn't propose to have any social welfare cuts in those areas that I'm talking about.
But there will be social welfare cuts then in other areas?
Well, we've already said that we want the best antidote to social welfare is work and jobs, and that goes back to our plan again. We set out 45 training and upgrading places. We set out 100,000 through a 7 billion investment, and we have real stimulus in there for the indigenous economy. When you knock on doors, Rachel.
OK, but there will be social welfare cuts then, just to make it clear for people, because going around the country talking to people, that people want clarity.
What we have said is that over the 4-year period, if Fine Gael are elected to government, that those who are able to work and who are on the unemployed lists, that they will be offered opportunities either for training or for involvement in work situations, and that if they don't decide to take up those, that there will be a reduction over that 4-year period of about €10 per week at the end of the 4th year. And that's to demonstrate that everybody can make a contribution here, and that there has to be a difference between those who work and those who don't work.
All right, and on another area then, I know Fine Gael has big health plans. You want to introduce universal health insurance, and we'll see what happens there over the coming years, because you've conceded yourself that that will take a while. But over the next couple of years, as the spending cuts take effect, will hospital wards have to close?
Well, this is where it's gone wrong. I mean, there isn't any point in tinkering around with this situation. The VHI themselves has said if the current situation continues, you're going to be spending over 30 billion by 2020. And what's happened, that everybody knows this, the way that money is allocated to hospitals means that wards close because there hasn't been any real accountability in the way that money is spent.
And will further wards then have to close over the next couple of years?
I would hope not, to minimise that completely. And that's why in Fine Gael's plan there's a specific section